Natasha Turak, Global Markets Reporter for FDI magazine. I'm joined here with my colleague Jacopo Dettoni, who recently joined our team. Jacopo has been researching investment trends in Europe for our latest cover story. I'm here to find out what he discovered. You've been researching FDI in Europe for the magazine's latest cover story. What were some of your main findings, and how worried should we be about Europe's FDI situation?
Actually, the investment climate in Europe is not as depressed as many believe it to be. FDI bounced back in 2015 from the lows touched in the previous couple of years, mostly thanks to a handful of countries that are building some new investment momentum on signs of economic recovery. The UK definitely stands out among them. Foreign investors didn't seem particularly concerned with the uncertain outcome of the upcoming referendum over the role of the UK, of the country, within the European Union, and announced some very important greenfield projects across the board, from telecommunications sector to real estate, also to the beleagued North Sea oil sector. In mainland Europe, on the other hand, the picture appeared more fragmented in a way. After tough years, southern European countries such as Spain, Italy or Portugal, they are showing new signs of economic vitality, and this is proving also a magnet for foreign investment. At the same time, the slowdown of emerging markets is taking a toll on more export-oriented economies like Germany, where foreign investors have not been as active as they used to be in the past. So overall, we can say that we are seeing a patchy investment recovery across Europe, but we are still way below the levels or the volumes of investment touched before the financial crisis. Also because the financial sector, which takes most of the credit for the FDI boom, the pre-crisis FDI boom, is now still restructuring, and many financial groups are scaling down operations and investment.
While working on the story, did you discover anything that surprised you?
The renewed activism of pillars of traditional European manufacturing is definitely something to keep an eye on. Companies belonging to the car industry or the telecommunications sector, they announced greenfield projects that we really hadn't seen in Europe for years. At the same time, the transition of the European economy towards a digital economy is creating new demand for products and services related to the ICT sector. American big names from Apple to Facebook to Google, they're all upgrading their infrastructure and operations across the continent, and this is definitely another big driver of foreign investment in the region.
Do you think the refugee crisis has any impact on FDI in Europe?
Actually, the migrant crisis can definitely have an impact on the investment climate in Europe, as long as it weakens the integration of European markets. At the same time, many agree that if Europe manages to weather the storm in the short term, in the midterm, migrants can turn into a very important asset for European economies, and they can breathe new life into European labor markets. IMF Managing Director Christine Lagarde in Davos said that the migrant crisis is a challenge with an upside potential. If this upside potential materializes, then there will be also new opportunities for foreign investors.
There seems to be a discrepancy between greenfield FDI flows and M&A activity in Europe. Why is that?
Well, actually, 2015 has been a record year for M&A activity worldwide, and Europe is no exception to that. So definitely, M&As, the volume of M&As has grown much quicker, much faster than greenfield investments. The reason for this, there are several reasons for this. Low inflation, Low inflation makes it very difficult for companies to grow organically and pushes companies to seek growth through acquisitions. But also obviously low interest rates, which are making debt very cheap for companies looking for acquisition or partners. And Europe, the ECB and the Bank of England, they still seem committed to support economic recovery through generous monetary policies. So this trend is definitely here to continue also in 2016. And what is probably more encouraging for European economy is that investors seem to have appetite for cyclical sectors like real estate or consumer goods or retail, meaning that they eventually pin hopes on the recovery of European economies.
And finally, are the experts you interviewed over the course of your feature optimistic or pessimistic about Europe's FDI future?
I wouldn't say that they are optimistic altogether, but at the same time, there is certainly a consensus over the fact that favorable macroeconomic factors like falling oil prices or low interest rates or weak European currencies against the US dollar, they are getting Europe back on track in a way. At the same time, Europe definitely needs to further unlock the potential of its integrated markets and definitely speed up the transition that I mentioned towards a digital economy to really add and build some longer-term momentum. At the same time, there are risks. There are risks looming ahead. I mentioned Brexit, but also geopolitical risks stemming from the crisis in Ukraine and Syria, which can definitely affect the investment climate across the region. So overall, we can say that we are seeing early signs of investment recovery, but it is still a long way to go for Europe to fully express its investment potential.
Thank you, Jacopo. And you can read the story in the latest issue of FDI Magazine and on our website. Thanks for tuning in.